Welcome to Coffee, Culture, and the Capital with Sophia and Greg. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. This week, we're going to be diving into, once again, the idea of parental rights being under attack, just LGBTQ plus ideology being forced on teachers in the state of California, websites being taken down, websites getting put in back up, fifth graders being told that they have to teach kindergartners about these issues. There is a lot going on. There are some wins in what we have to share with you all today. But Greg, let's kick off with what kind of went down in Southern California when a fifth grade boy was kind of put in the position to teach a kindergarten about gender ideology.
Right. This is a story we've covered before, and this is a bit of great news. There was a school down in the Encinitas Union School District. They had something called a buddy program where they paired up fifth graders with kindergartners, and they acted like an older brother or an older sister, and they would meet once a week, and they would, the older guy would, or the older girl would read a book to the younger kindergartner, and, they would be friends, and it was a buddy program. It was like a mentorship program. And so it was great. And so there was a young Christian family whose fifth grade son, his name is Shay. He was paired up with a kindergartner friend. But the story that he was given by his teacher to give to his buddy, it was a book called My Shadow is Pink, which is about gender ideology. It's about a young boy who thinks he's trapped in the wrong body. He's got a boy body, but he loves everything girl. And so this made the particular fifth grader uncomfortable, but he didn't want to get in trouble. And so he kind of went along with it. And he, went through the material with his buddy. And then afterwards, they had to go outside, and the kindergartner had to draw the color of shadow, they called it, or your identity. What color is your identity? Is it blue? Is it pink? Is it something in between? So the parents found out about this and were very upset that their son had to do this. And they called up school, and the school said, hey, well, this is just part of the training that we give. And the parents said, well, we want to be notified next time because this violates the very thing we're teaching our son, that sex is determined by biology, and our religious faith affirms that, and we don't want him to have to teach something different. We want to opt out of this. The school refused. Not only did the school refuse, the school officials, they retaliated against the parents and the child, and they coordinated something called a Pink Out the Hate event at the school, and it was targeted at, they were through an event to support transgender students, all in reaction to these couple parents and this young student who was uncomfortable with transgenderism. And so the parents filed a lawsuit, and a federal judge decided in their favor that you have to give parents the right to opt their kids out of material that violates their faith. You can't tell them to read a book that they don't agree with, especially if you're making a young kid say something he doesn't believe in and the parents don't believe in. This seems to be obvious to most, but not to California schools. And we wrote a story about this earlier in the week where the judge decided in favor of the parents. The school appealed to the Ninth Circuit saying, hey, we're not gonna give in. And just recently they gave up and they said, yeah, we're not going to win this case, especially because there was a case early summer called Mahmoud versus Taylor out of Maryland, which the Supreme Court said that parents have a right to opt out of curriculum that is trying to undermine the religious faith of their students. And this was obviously doing that. And so one of the cool things about this story is this young guy, his name's Shay, he was featured with the president at a national event, and it was called the President's Religious Liberty Commission, and he gave us a great little speech that I want to show to you right now.
Yeah, let's check that out.
Last year in fifth grade, Shay was forced to read a book to a kindergarten student promoting a message of radical gender ideology that is contrary to his religious beliefs and ours. I'd like to have Shay come up and tell the story. It's an amazing story. Shay, please come up.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Hi, I'm Shay Encinitas. I've been a Christian my whole life, and Jesus means everything to me. When I was in 5th grade, my school forced me to teach my kindergarten buddy about changing his gender using a book called My Shadow is Pink. The book said you can choose your gender based on feelings instead of how God made us. I knew this was not right, but I was afraid of getting in trouble. After my family spoke up, the school treated us badly, and kids started bullying me and my brother because of our faith. And the school did nothing to stop it. It hurt a lot, but I kept trusting God. I believe kids like me should be able to live our faith at school without being forced to go against what we believe. I hope no other family has to go through what mine did. Thank you.
2024, Shay came home visibly disturbed. His normal 5th grade buddy time with kindergartners was replaced by a reading, video, and chalk activity of My Shadow is Pink, a book on gender identity. Shay was forced to participate in an activity promoting the book's message and teaching his kindergarten buddy about gender ideology against his beliefs.
As my teacher read the book, My Shadow is Pink, I could tell immediately that the message went against my beliefs. It taught that gender could be chosen based on feelings rather than the way God created us. I didn't have any choice. I had to participate. We were then told to line up and head to our buddy class, where we watched a cartoon version of the book. I felt sick. I wanted to protect my buddy, cover his eyes even, but I didn't want to get in trouble. Then we went outside to trace our buddy's shadows with chalk. The teacher told each child to pick a color to represent him or her. I felt upset and confused, but I stayed quiet because I was afraid of getting in trouble. I didn't know this was coming. I wish I could have opted out. After school, my dad picked me up and I told him everything. He was shocked and promised to talk to the school. I hoped that would make things better. Instead, it made things worse, much worse.
School officials never notified us, even though we had just opted Shay out of the school's health unit for this very reason. When we brought the concerns up to his teacher, he claimed the book wasn't about gender, yet the author calls it a story about gender identity, and district documents show an effort supported by groups like Trans Family Support Services.
Just watching those clips of the boy and his mother, and I am so proud of this family for not just settling for their religious beliefs being under attack, but for standing up for what is right, for speaking out and taking a stand for the truth, for their religious values. Two, I am disturbed. The fact that we are watching, think about it, we are watching a 5th grade boy talk about how he just wants to protect his kindergarten buddy and cover their eyes from seeing this stuff. I want to protect the 5th grade boy from seeing this stuff. The fact that we're putting 5th grade boys in the place where they have to protect kindergarteners, what are the ages of that? 10 and 5? That's what we're seeing happen right now. And it breaks my heart. It's disturbing. And I think, too, just even talking about the fact that they had to go out and use chalk to draw their shadow identity. Christians, now is the time to be making sure your children know that as Christians, we are the one group of people that we do not need to go searching for our identity in the world. God gives it to us that we are daughters and sons of Christ. That is our identity. And how beautiful that is that that's our identity, and how beautiful that we're not stuck in a world of confusion. And so I have a feeling this boy knew what was happening in school was wrong because his family has probably instilled that truth into him. And so make sure you're instilling truth into your children, opening doors for them to come to you with conversations like this. How many 5th graders were also in that class, maybe felt uncomfortable, didn't really know how to bring it to their parents? So make sure to have those conversations so they know they can come to you. But I'm heartbroken that that's happening, but also what a time that we have a sitting president that's recognizing what Christian families are going through and platforming this family. I mean, that part is amazing.
Right. And I'm just infuriated at the school's reaction to these religious beliefs of the parents and the kid. I mean, they're all for protecting people with a particular view of sexuality, but they organize a protest to shame the young fifth grader and his brother and the family for saying what? We just want to be opted out. And the result of that is, we're going to throw a protest. I mean, the intolerance is just unbelievable. Is that the atmosphere that kids going to public school are in right now? I mean, it's really unbelievable. So the fact that the school finally gave up, that we have laws that are actually protecting parents like this and students like this. The sad thing is that the kids were taken out of the school. I mean, because it was so hostile an environment to put your kids in. These are public schools should be available to everybody because we're all paying taxes. So something's got to change, folks. People need to stand up and speak up. And we're saying this all the time, but this is a great example of having a great result. If they hadn't stood up, this kind of thing would be going on all over the place.
When you think, I don't have to talk to my children yet about this, they're not hearing it yet. Kindergarteners were read this, that you get to choose whatever gender you want to be, that you can be a boy body, but you're a girl on the inside stuck in a boy's body. Kindergarten. So yes, unfortunately, if your child is in public school in the state of California, you do have to start having those conversations about the truth with them. Otherwise, they will get confused by what their teachers and by what their classmates are saying. And so I think we saw the beautiful results of this family having those conversations with their son. But Greg, we have another story, a story where we've had some wins, some things happening. It's kind of been all over the place the past week or so. But we are now watching, because of a law, AB 5, that Governor Gavin Newsom signed back in 2023. We are seeing teachers being pushed down this path of having to take training about LGBTQ plus ideology, one that basically refers to Christians, Christian ideals, Christian values as these bigoted beliefs. I mean, saying that if you believe the norm is a heterosexual couple, that goes against people, that's bigoted. I mean, this whole training is nonsense, this training called PRISM. But Greg, kind of give us the rundown and catch us up to where we are currently at with this story.
Right. How I heard about this bill, I testified against this bill a couple years ago, but it was sort of vague about what the curriculum would actually look like. It was supposed to be curriculum that helps students feel welcome at school, and they called it LGBTQ cultural competency training to prevent bullying of kids who identify as LGBT. That was the justification for it. But what it ends up being is an indoctrination type of curriculum you're mandating teachers to take, where if you are a Christian and you have traditional Christian views about sexuality and gender, this training is going to say that you are the problem. And so we had a teacher reach out to us and say, I saw this curriculum and I wasn't going to take it, but I wanted to show it to you. And so we got a copy of it. And there's various versions. And PRISM is the name of the curriculum that's officially coming from the state government. It was put together by 19 different pro-LGBT organizations, and you can go online and see it. But you can't watch it. That is only available to teachers themselves. And we found out even school board members can't get a hold of it. But I got a hold of it through a school board member who got it from her superintendent, and I recorded it. And at the very same time, something else has been happening. There's this federal case down in Southern California near the San Diego area. There is a school district there that had two teachers who, started 2 years ago, they were being told that they had to keep the gender identity of their students secret from their parents. Now, if you've been watching us for a couple years, you've noticed that we've fought back against this, that we have been trying to introduce with a bunch of other groups, parent notification policies that school districts introduced, at least 10 of them did, that actually say that if, a kid is changing their name and pronoun at school, parents must be notified. Now, the state government flipped out. They ended up passing a specific law to prevent school districts from having policies that require students' name and gender being given to the parents if they change them. But there's this lawsuit down in San Diego, has always been percolating, and the federal judge down there for these two teachers who didn't want to keep secrets had decided in their favor initially. And then this last couple months, they made it a class action suit, meaning the initial the judge who said, yes, parents have the right to oversee the raising of a child, and you can't change their name and pronoun without the permission. That's what the federal judge has been saying. And they changed it to a class action suit so it applies to the entire state. All teachers cannot keep secrets. All parents have a right to know if their kids are changing pronouns and names at school. So what the state had done, the Department of Ed and the Attorney General had been complaining, hey, we don't tell school districts anymore. We don't tell them anymore that they have to keep the gender identity secret from parents. We took that off our website. That's what they're saying in court, right? We took down a website that said that, and so this case should go away. That was been their argument. But then me looking at this brand new PRISM training, the PRISM training specifically was telling telling school districts that they must keep the gender identity secret from parents. So that contradicted what they were saying in court. So I sent this information off to the attorneys, and they told the judge. And this last Monday, the judge is now considering punishing the state, the Attorney General, and the Department of Ed for deceiving him. And in the meantime, last week, after we revealed what the PRISM training was actually saying, the state pulled the PRISM training down. And so I did a story, which is titled, this was published on the 17th of November. It says, Department of Ed and the Attorney General take down LGBTQ teacher training after getting caught hiding gender secrecy directives from a judge, right? So, but yesterday, or whenever you're watching this week, the site is back up, and I was going through it, and they removed references to saying that children have privacy rights from their own parents, that the school is required to keep secret. Okay, so that's what they're telling the judge in this case. But here's the crazy thing. I went on the Attorney General website, and he has, his name's Rob Bonta, is our Attorney General, and he has a flyer that says, Know Your Rights, LGBTQ plus discrimination rights. And I'm going to read you what is currently on the website. It says, you have a right to disclose or not disclose your gender identity on your own terms, regardless of age. Your school, whether public or private, doesn't have the right to out you as LGBT to anyone without your permission, including your parents. This is coming from the Attorney General. And he's quoting, he says, under the California and U.S. constitutions, you have a protected right to privacy, which includes the right to keep your sexual orientation and gender identity, or that you are transgender. You can keep it. You have a right to keep it private. What the courts call a reasonable expectation of privacy. In other words, you have a right to control to what extent and to whom to disclose a highly personal information about your sexual orientation and your gender identity. So that means he's saying kids have that right to keep it secret from their parents, no matter how young they are, whether they're 4 or 5 or 6, elementary school kids. And so in the court, they're saying, oh, we're not doing this anymore, but his website still is threatening school districts. It's even the crazy thing, he's threatening private schools. He has no right to tell a private school what a teacher can tell a parent. That's so fear-mongering ridiculous, right? And he knows they're going to lose this lawsuit. And I always want to quote you something from the lawsuit. They had a hearing this week, and this judge is U.S. District Judge Roger Benitez. He's a George Bush appointee. And here's what he said about keeping secrets from parents. He says, what this is really about is the fact that you are depriving parents of the opportunity to decide what's going to happen to those kids who are experiencing gender incongruity, Bennett told the courtroom. It doesn't make a bit of difference whether this is medical or psychological or a social issue. because you know what's really important is the fact that the parents are being denied the ability to seek whether it's a medical, psychological, or a social treatment of their children if their children are showing signs, showing the slightest indication that they have gender incongruity issue, right? So he's saying the Constitution protects parents to make a decision if their kids are having gender issues. And so this is a huge issue. We believe that the federal judge is going to come down and strike down all these policies within the next month or so. And it's just unbelievable that our attorney general, even with this federal case looming over his head, still speaking out two sides of his mouth. And I know that was a long diatribe, but I'm passionate about this.
Yes. And there is just what Greg shared with you all is a snippet of all the details that's been going on with this whole story just within the past week. So if you want to learn more, read more, check out all the stories, see kind of the progress of it, visit californiafamily.org. And you will be able to find all of those articles, read them, share them with people, and be up to date about what is going on. And so, yes, we're seeing parents' rights, Christian teachers' rights, all of that under attack. But as Greg kind of mentioned today, we're also seeing some wins throughout it. So we need to keep standing for what is right and making sure we as Christians stand up for our beliefs.
It's nice we have a federal administration and federal courts that still uphold the Constitution. And ultimately, they are the supreme law of the land, and California has no right to violate the U.S. Constitution. And so we have seen that they are willing to do so. They were willing to, and they're using their authority to try and intimidate schools and parents to just be quiet. Folks, we cannot do that. If you love your kids, if you love your community, then speaking up is the only moral response.
Absolutely. And with that, we will see you all next time.